Hello and welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett. I'm a Senior Software Support Analyst supporting the Transformation Extender product from IBM. The topic for today's video is using the Java RMI method to call a map. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. In this practical demonstration, I'm going to show you how to set up the RMI server process on a remote machine. Then we will set up the Eclipse Design Studio to run the RMI examples. Finally, we will execute examples 1 and 5 from the examples directory. We're starting this demonstration with a view of the remote machine. In the remote machine we have an Explorer window currently showing the T drive, the maps subdirectory, has two files, one of which is a compiled map, test1.mmc, and we have input.txt, an input file. The other window is a command prompt, and in that command prompt I have changed to the ITX 10.1 directory where I'm going to start the RMI server. So the RMI server is currently running, and this remote machine is ready to accept commands from an RMI client. Bear in mind that the RMI client itself would not necessarily have access to the compiled map. All it has is some Java code to make an RMI call to have the remote machine execute the map. So let's have a look at those examples now. On my local machine I have the Design Studio. I'm going to switch to the Java perspective and start a new Java project. I'm going to call this RMI_project1. I'm going to tick the option to use the project folder as root for sources and class files. I'm also going to change the default location to T:/Java RMI/maps. Before we click finish on this dialog box, we need to add a couple of libraries. I'm going to go to the Libraries tab now and click on Add External Jars. I'm going to point to my ITX 10.1 installation and pick up the m4java.jar file. Second jar I'm going to add is dtxpi.jar. So there's my two jar files added. I can now click the Finish button. If we bring up an Explorer window showing the project, we can see that we have no files in there currently. What I'm going to do is copy the files from the IBM ITX 10.1 directory from the examples folder, dk dtxpi RMI. The examples I'm going to copy and demonstrate today are example 1 and example 5. So let's copy those into my project and close that window. In my Design Studio, if I hit the refresh button, you will see those two files have appeared, example 1 and example 5. And if I double click on example 1, we can look and see that the map that it's expecting to run is test1.mmc. Now the command line has to have some arguments passed to it so that it can work out which host it needs to connect to. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to click on Run Configurations, Java Application Arguments. So I'm going to pass in the host name of the remote machine, the port number that the RMI server is running on, and the path where the maps can be found. Click on Apply, click on Close. Okay, so this piece of code is now ready to run, so I'm going to do that. And as you can see down here, it is now reported map completed successfully. In the remote window you can see that an output file has been produced and a test1.log file because audit logging was turned on by default. So there we go. That's the simplest method of executing a map on a remote system using a Java RMI call. Moving on to example 5 then. Example 5 does a couple of overrides. It overrides an input card 1, with a fixed string. This is my input data. The map that example 5 tries to run is test5.mmc. I don't have that on my remote system, so I'm just going to change this to test1.mmc. And I'm going to note that the output card it overrides is output card 2. Now I know my test1.mmc does not have an output card 2, so I'm going to change it to override output card 1 instead and just return the results of output card 1. So there we go, we changed the 2 in 3 locations, 2 of which were comments. This was the only one that really needed changing. So we can save this example 5 and we can check the run configuration. The run configuration is exactly the same. And then back on this window we can hit the run button. This time the map has run successfully, but instead of writing to the output file, the content of output card 1 is returned to the calling program as a stream. And as you can see, this map has capitalized the input. To prove this, I shall go back to the remote machine and temporarily remove the output file and the audit log file. Back to my design studio, and I shall run the Java RMI call again. And this time you will see that the content is returned, but the log file is still produced remotely, as that is where the map was run. So that's the end of the demonstration, a quick run through of how to use the Java RMI examples to call maps on a remote server. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video presentation today. If you found the content interesting and informative, please use the like button. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, as I release content such as this on a regular basis. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. Thank you.